Straight ahead, we are on location for this edition of City Span in Wright Square with tons of history to tell you. We'll fill you in throughout the show. Plus, online billing, the latest in the city's quest to give you as many options as possible to pay your utilities. Plus, exciting news for the arts in Savannah, the new hub going vertical. And we nearly closed the books on Hurricane Matthew, or should I say volumes of books, on a $12 million plus natural disaster. Another exciting Earth Day in Forsyth Park and some of the top tunes from WW Law. So hop aboard and we'll give you a bird's eye view of all the happenings in Savannah. City Span starts right now. Welcome to City Span. I'm your host, Ken Slatz. We are on location in Wright Square, one of the original squares laid out by General James Oglethorpe in 1733. We will go more in depth about the history and importance of this square a little bit later on City Span. But we're going to start with what affects you every day, your access to clean water. The city has now implemented a way to pay online all the time. Online billing for utilities is here. The City of Savannah site will now accept credit cards, another option of the city's ongoing goal to be at your service.
We are hoping that as they become more familiar with the process, that we'll gain more and more customers that are actually utilizing it. I think it's good for the customer and it's good for the city as well.
The option of using e-checks is available as well. This choice has one big advantage.
The e-check option is free. And I think that is the option that we would really encourage folks to utilize because there aren't any additional charges incurred with that. For credit cards and for debit cards, we are charging a $3.50 fee. That fee is basically, it doesn't go to the city, it actually goes to the credit card processor.
The City of Savannah's upgrades, they don't end here. There's even more exciting news ahead.
Phase 2 is going to do a little bit more, provide a little bit more information. It will hopefully give you usage data, things that are going to remind you a little bit more of other utility websites. We're still working with our vendor on that. We don't have a timeline for it yet, but we are hoping it's not going to be an extended period of time before that's available.
So here's your opportunity to make paying your utility bill even easier. Just head on over to savannahga.gov, click on the Forms and Payments, and then pay your utility bill online. It is that easy. Of course, if you have any questions, just give us a call, 912-651-6451. They'll be happy to talk with you, or you can still pay in person at the Broughton Municipal Building, that's downtown. Perhaps Savannah's hottest undeveloped property is at the southeast corner of Habersham and Oglethorpe, right next to the downtown police precinct. The city has sold a lot to Geyer Morris. The firm is set to build a 5-story mix of retail, parking, and residential living.
To have a whole city block is very unique and exciting.
Matt Bird is the local partner of Geyer Morris, a multi-state company heavily rooted in the southeast United States.
Where else in the southeast can you have a whole city block partner with established city that's up and coming for a project like this and be able to have the community behind you, the city council behind you?
But in general, we want to bring just a very, very high quality, special residential product, as well as just some neat walkable some retail kind of on the bottom floor that creates kind of that walkable neighborhood feel.
The neighborhood feel on the Landmark District's east side. The property sold for $5 million, and the city laid out its plan for the property in the process of requesting proposals.
We're going to partner with the city and make sure we get that aspect right. So it's going to look very similar to the neighborhood.
And we really want this to be kind of an amenity to the neighborhood. We found, I mean, that really makes for the most successful projects if you're able to kind of interlock that. And that's why the retail was really important to engage.
Currently, SCMPD uses the lot for parking. Part of the deal is to provide the city with spots in the garage.
Part of the project, we've agreed to give 50 parking spaces to the police officers, so they'll be parking on site, which obviously will feel very, very safe as a resident that lives there and also shopping there as well.
Shopping and/or living in a building to be named the Bryson Reed Building, which is diagonal from the police memorial.
Bryson Reed, there were the two police officers, first police officers that were killed in the line of duty back in the late, I think it's the 1800s, and one of them was actually buried on burial plot 911. before that was significant, so obviously we know where that came from. And then to honor them with the name of this building and then tie it into the police, which is right next door, is very, very exciting.
One of the unique aspects of our firm is we enjoy really digging into sites that have significant historical background, and so this is a really neat opportunity for us to get in and just do something special here.
Check out the corner of Oglethorpe Avenue and MLK Boulevard, where work continues on the city's new Cultural Arts Center. Since December, it's been full speed ahead on the $25 million SPLOST-funded project.
As you can see, we're coming out of the ground, which is very exciting. And again, we're building a very large monumental, what we would call monumental building in the city of Savannah. This is probably the largest building that we've done in quite a while.
Johnston says the project is running so smoothly that some may not even know it's happening, thanks to a process called Construction Manager at Risk, which guarantees that the project will be completed on time and within the agreed upon budget.
Once you come to an agreement, it sort of becomes their responsibility to make sure that this moves forward, and we are on track. We have a projection of May 2018 that the facility will be done. I think that's very exciting, and I think we're going to show our elected officials and staff and community that this type of construction really does work to our advantage.
Johnson is especially excited about the variety and flexibility the interior space of the center will provide.
We're going to have a 400-seat theater. We're going to have instruction places that will have pottery rooms, ceramic rooms, jewelry making, painting. We'll have gallery space, offices, and a multi-purpose room that could be theater or some type of dance or artistic endeavor. It's a room that allows us to do a lot of different things. It'll be very versatile.
The new Cultural Arts Center was designed by Gunn Meyerhoff Shea Architects. Construction partners include CHA as the program manager, MB Kahn Construction, and the Pilote Corporation. We will continue to update you on the progress of the new center right here on CitySpan. Savannah celebrated Earth Day, a gathering of a few thousand vendors, entertainers, and citizens with a keen eye toward Earth-conscious living.
One of the largest educational Earth Day events in the state of Georgia.
Environmental Services and Sustainability Director Nick Deffley says the city has been a major sponsor for 17 years, an event which brings together organizations from greater Savannah for a whole slew of reasons.
Recognize the importance of community, the importance of our natural environment, the importance of the earth and what it provides to us, but also the importance of really taking pride in the community we live in and sustaining it as long as we can for our kids and our children's children.
Well, one of the things we try to do is encourage people to make bicycling a healthy part of their daily lives. And the spirit of this event is doing things that help the planet, that help us live in a better way, and what better way to get here than riding a bike?
Which many people took advantage on this perfect Savannah afternoon. Education was a focus with guest speakers throughout the day. Just one example of the opportunities introduced at Earth Day.
You can learn how to become more politically active if you want to do that around environmental and social issues. You can see what kind of cool groups are out here doing local efforts. We've got carbon neutral lawn care. We've got arts out of recycled plastics.
There was also plenty of food, plenty of pets, and plenty of people, old and young.
Children are our future. I mean, you can't really overuse that statement enough, and we are living today in a way that is not sustainable for our kids. So we need to make sure that we have our kids enjoying the same quality of life, if not better, than we are today.
Well, we know that things that we do as children can become lifelong habits, right? So good and bad. So kids who are able to ride bikes and enjoy the independence of riding bikes are more likely to continue that as adults.
Now, if you missed it, or you do want to return, mark your 2018 calendar for April 21st. That's just been announced as next year's Savannah Earth Day in Forsyth Park. There is so much more to come on CitySpan. This square and many others cleaned up by the city after Hurricane Matthew ripped through our area in October. The full-scale, multi-million-dollar cleanup is coming to a close. We will give you the latest. Plus, we'll turn to Teddy Adams for the sweet sounds of jazz and the tie-in to this civil rights legend. As we head to break, the significance of the Gordon Monument settled into one of Savannah's original squares. For the details, we turn to our own City of Savannah historical expert, Luciana Spraker from the Research and Archives Department.
William Washington Gordon was a mayor of Savannah in the 1830s, but probably his most important contributions were as the founding president of the Central Georgia Railroad. The Central Georgia was very important for opening the interior of the state up to the port of Savannah and helping to promote industry and commerce and keeping that flow of trade going. This particular monument was erected in 1884 by the Central Georgia Banking and Railroad Company, and it helps commemorate all of those contributions that Gordon made. Some of the really prominent features and symbolic features that you see on the monument sort of speak to that. There are 4 red polished granite columns. Above them are capitals that feature flowers and leaves that represent southern features, southern species. Above that are 4 putti, or cherubs, and they're holding a globe at the top. And those 4 features represent agriculture, manufacture, commerce, and art, and they are bearing the world on to greater prosperity. So that's supposed to be representative of what the Central of Georgia was doing for Georgia. And then also you'll see that on all 4 sides there are winged wheels, and they're supposed to symbolize the speed of the railroads. So it's a very symbolic monument. There are plaques on all 4 sides, and on one of them there's a relief sculpture, and you'll see that that locomotive or that railroad engine is coming out of a tunnel moving towards the shipping industries. It really shows how, you know, as we're moving out of the late 1800s towards the 20th century, Savannah and Georgia are moving into a new South.
Nearly 2 acres of prime property, including a 4-story, 33,000 square foot office building adjoining the landmark historic district, is up for sale. The city of Savannah is accepting a request for proposals for this prime redevelopment property located at the southeast corner of Liberty and East Broad Streets. The building has a new roof and a new elevator is being installed. There's plenty of room for parking and/or additional buildings can be added. For much more information on this mixed-use property and building, visit savannahga.gov/surplus property or call 912-651-6524. And welcome back to City Span on location in Wright Square. You know, it has been 8 months since Savannah was hit with Hurricane Matthew. It's also been an amazing show of teamwork to get our beautiful historic city back to normal. The biggest challenge, just kind of cleaning up tons of debris. From these city squares to the outlying neighborhoods, the tall task was both daunting and an incredible learning opportunity.
We thought initially our estimates were something just over 400,000 cubic yards. We have picked up about 450,000 now.
That's a lot, folks. Say you had a 4-foot wide pickup truck bed and you piled the debris 4 feet high. Your truck would need to be 64 miles long. That's from here to Statesboro, and it all had to be recorded.
The paperwork side of things is a very daunting task, and it's still in process as we go.
The biggest challenge that we had was producing the volumes and reams of documentation that are required over and above everybody else's normal job.
Some of our paperwork backed off as the contractors and vendors started transporting and assuming some of that responsibility. Then our process started back up once we started receiving invoicing and balancing and checks and balances to make sure that we had all the correct forms in place.
Travel time was the biggest opponent. The city had to be cleaned up as quickly as possible. So one major quick adjustment was made.
A lot of the debris was over on the east side and the south side, so the transportation time was rather lengthy. We opened up for a timeout at the National Guard Armory, had a yard over there.
Because the contractors that we had in place were capable of processing material as it was delivered, the time that we saved on the long transport back and forth to the landfill, they were able to just process the material and be able to remove it
With all the debris removed, the city of Savannah spent millions of dollars, with much of that already reimbursed by the federal government through the state of Georgia.
The cost to the city as of the end of 2016 exceeded $11 million of actual cash that we had spent on debris operations, repairs, preparing for the storm. FEMA will pay out at 75% of those costs. The state will pay 12.5% of those costs, and then the city's on the hook for 12.5% of those costs. So we're paying a much smaller portion. I think all in all, our reserves will be sufficient to meet those match requirements, and that we should be able to weather this storm, no pun intended, on a pretty good financial footing.
Which also leads us to the future, more readily prepared for a natural disaster.
We've done a lot of planning over the years to make sure we were ready, and I think that paid off this time. Of course, there are things that you learn every time.
I think probably the biggest thing that we learned from the municipal side is probably the coordination of logistics and being able to bring all the departments together, all of our contractors together, and to be able to make this a success.
Well, I think the main thing that we learned is that the city does have a lot of capacity and capability to work together across bureau lines in a concerted effort to serve the citizens of Savannah.
The cost to the city and returns from FEMA could go up over the next couple of years. Now, the city's surface water supply plant and the roof of the Civic Center each had extensive damage. Those cost estimates haven't yet been finalized. Are you new to banking or have never had a checking account? Not sure how to get started? Our friends over at Bank on Savannah, an initiative of Step Up Savannah, they can help. Here's Richard Reed with the details in this month's Bank on This.
People without checking accounts spend an average of $800 a year on other financial services, such as check cashing and money orders. That's money that could be used towards a vacation, a vehicle, or savings. For Savannah residents who don't currently have a bank account, there's good news. 10 area banks have partnered with Bank on Savannah. These banks offer low or no-cost checking accounts to those who have never had a bank account before, or to those who have had trouble with banking in the past. Bank staff will help customers understand how to manage their accounts, including what fees may be charged and why. Bank on Savannah accounts may vary from bank to bank, but some common features include no or low-cost account fees, low opening balances, no minimum monthly balance requirement, a waiver of your first overdraft or non-sufficient funds fee, referral to free financial education classes. These banks have also agreed to accept the Mexican matricular consular cards as primary identification and individual taxpayer identification numbers in lieu of Social Security numbers. Go into any participating branch location and ask about opening a Bank on Savannah account. Bank on Savannah accounts are designed to help you save time and money while keeping your money safe. So take a step in controlling your financial future by opening a Bank on Savannah account today. Until next time, I'm Richard Reeve, and you can bank on this.
Thank you very much, Richard. We look forward to next month's report. You know, early Savannians owe much of their success and safety to the Creek Indian leader, Tomochichi. In fact, he was so respected by those early settlers that he was laid to rest right here in Wright Square. Savannah's first monument was erected in his honor. Our own resident historian, Luciana Spraker, has more about this friend and ally of the colonists.
Tomochichi was the Miko, or the chief of the Yamacraw Indians, which were part of the Creek Nation. And when Oglethorpe brought the original 114 colonists to the new colony of Georgia and settled the Yamacraw Bluff here, which became Savannah, he had to rely on Tomochichi to help him. Tomochichi was a great friend and ally to Oglethorpe and the colonists in helping them get this new colony established. When he died in 1739, there was a great funeral in Savannah for him, and Oglethorpe had him buried in Wright Square, which was then known as Percival Square. And that was the center of town, so it was a very prominent location, and it showed how important Tomochichi was to Oglethorpe and the colony. That original burial was marked by a pyramid of stones. We know this from colonial records. That pyramid of stone disappeared over time, and in 1899 the Georgia Society of the Colonial Dames decided to mark Tomochichi's burial here in Wright Square with a new memorial to commemorate how important Tomochichi was to Georgia and Savannah, and to help people remember how important he was, and without Tomochichi we may not have had a successful colony. So this large granite boulder, which comes from Stone Mountain outside of Atlanta, was sent down to Savannah and placed here in the southeastern corner of Wright Square. And the boulder is supposed to represent Tomochichi's strong and rugged character.
You can learn more in this month's Hungry for History program commemorating Tomochichi in Savannah. Now watch for it throughout the month of May right here on SGTV. For dates and times and a complete schedule of shows, head on over to savannahga.gov and click on the SGTV link. More on Tomochichi and the history of this beautiful square, Wright Square, when we wrap up the show. But we need to take one more break. Those are the sweet sounds of the Teddy Adams Trio, taking part in an exciting new exhibit highlighting one of our country's top civil rights pioneers. Plus, we'll be kicking it, pro soccer in Savannah. It's all straight ahead after the break. The city of Savannah is selling some prime property on Bull Street, just south of 37th Street. It's a little over 1/3 of an acre with a 3,000 square foot single-story building nestled on the southeast corner of the lot. Just minutes to the historic Landmark District, this mixed-use property on Savannah's primary north-south corridor is ready to be part of the growing Midtown Starland area. Check out more details at savannahga.gov/surplus property or call 912-651-6524.
To get that one-stop shop kind of feel that they can call in, create a work order for their service needs.
City of Savannah 311, this is Brittany speaking. How may I help you?
Our light's out, my trash was missed, there's a pothole in the street, the traffic light is not functioning properly. Those are the kind of calls that we address that are disseminated to our departments that address those sort of services. Thanks again for calling 311. You have a good day.
Welcome back to City Span. On location in Wright Square, we will have our full feature on this landmark shortly. Now, we brought you several stories on the exciting upgrades to our area's athletic fields. Turf put in at Scarborough Field and Morris Field in Daffin Park. The latter is set to host professional soccer, the Charleston Battery, against their developmental league team in Statesboro, FC Tormenta.
Playing in Savannah is going to be critical to us. Savannah's population is a fantastic soccer environment. A tremendous number of youth clubs here with our Tormenta FC on the Youth Academy side and Savannah United. Those two clubs already have a very big impact here.
And show the folks in Savannah, in their own town, the high-level soccer that we have and the players that we have. We're very excited. We think it's going to be a great event.
This event would not have happened without the facility upgrades. SPLOST funds at a cost of $650,000 enabled this to be scheduled.
It's a great step forward for the city of Savannah to have a field turf field that's multi-use for soccer, lacrosse, football, you name it out here. So, and to have some seats, and it's gated. So it's great to bring in professional soccer. So we're going to be able to have two really good soccer teams come down in May and showcase what can happen in Savannah and maybe grow into something bigger in the future.
We got a couple small things. We're going to add a new scoreboard to it, and hopefully we'll have the new scoreboard in before this event. But so far, everything that we've gotten, all the feedback we've gotten has been extremely positive. They've been extremely happy with the product that we've provided them and the playability of the surface.
Currently, Morris Field will seat right around 1,300 fans. The city plans to bring in more bleachers to to up that figure to almost 2,000. It'll be a test, if you will, to see what the possibilities are for more major events with this world-class surface.
Great opportunity. There's other events coming to this complex as well throughout the year. I know we've helped schedule a few college lacrosse games as well that are coming in later this spring. So it's going to start getting its use from just not local teams, but outside groups as well. And it's a great addition to what we have to sell and promote.
We're not having to cut grass, we're not having to water it, we're not having to fertilize it, we're not having to, it's just a lot of things that we just don't have to do that we have to do with natural grass. I wouldn't say it is certainly not maintenance free. There is some work to it, but the amount of work that we have to put into it really has been cut drastically by going to this artificial surface.
The soccer match is Wednesday, May 10th. There's also a camp the same evening. You can check out the Tormenta FC or Charleston Battery website to find out more information.
I think it's going to broaden the knowledge of W.W. Law, his love for music.
That's local jazz legend Teddy Adams performing at the grand opening of the W.W. Law music exhibit at the Beach Institute downtown. Mr. Law is the former president of the NAACP.
He's known for his civil rights involvement and all he did for Savannah, especially for blacks, but unbeknown to a lot of people is what he did musically. He had a very extensive music collection and a very impressive jazz collection. And he was responsible for the establishment of the Black Musicians Union in 1955.
You can catch the exhibit at the Beach Institute at the corner of Harris and Price Streets. It's open Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 5. Plenty of music and educational tools to teach our area's kids, just like W.W. Law would have wanted it. At the grand opening, there also was a special presentation. The Jacob G. Smith Elementary Chorus delighted the crowd with a few songs. With its beautiful moss-draped live oaks and monuments, it is hard to imagine this square filled with livestock. But that's part of the history of Wright Square. Our own Carol LaSalle Miller has more.
Wright Square, as it's now known, was laid out by General James Oglethorpe in 1733. From lords to governors and livestock auctions to seats of government, the square, one of Savannah's 6 original, has held a position of importance since the city's founding.
When Oglethorpe first settled Savannah and laid out the town, he laid it out in a unique town plan, which we call the Oglethorpe Plan. It's made up of a system of wards, which we consider our city building blocks. Each ward has a central square or green space, and then each of the 4 corners are made up of tithings, which have 10 building blocks each for like the colonists to build their houses. And then on the east and west sides were 4 trust lots, and those were for public buildings.
Originally named Percival Square for the Lord Viscount Percival, who was president of the trustees of Georgia, it was renamed Wright Square in 1763 to honor the last royal governor of Georgia, Sir James Wright. It's also commonly referred to as Courthouse Square. Since Oglethorpe's time, a courthouse has stood in the square, making it, especially in its early days, a gathering place full of activity, including monthly auctions of livestock, government bonds, furniture, and other goods.
On the trust lots to the east and the west, we've had both county and federal courthouses. Currently on the western trust lots, we have the federal courthouse. This was recently renamed the Tomoteechee Federal Courthouse in honor of the Miko Chief Tomoteechee. On the southeastern trust lot, we have the Chatham County Old Courthouse. This is now used as an administrative building, and it's a beautiful 1880s courthouse designed in the Richardsonian Romanesque architectural style by William Gibbons Preston.
Over the years, Wright Square has seen other changes as well. Originally, a stone pyramid occupied the center of the square. It was built by the settlers to honor the Miko Chief Tomoteechee upon his death in 1739. It's believed to have been Savannah's first monument. 100 years later, the square's most prominent feature The Gordon Monument was placed at the center. It honors William W. Gordon, founder of the Central of Georgia Railroad. And lest he be forgotten, in 1899 a simple piece of granite from Stone Mountain was placed in the southeast corner of the square as a memorial to Tomochichi, the man to whom the city owed much of its early safety and success. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Carol Lascelle Miller.
Just one piece of an amazing historical city we live in. Next month, we will take you out to the ballpark. Baseball is alive and well at Grayson Stadium. Just a lot of people going bananas. That is next month. Remember to keep it tuned to SGTV for all your local government programming, city council meetings and workshops, plenty of history, and of course, news and information. Also follow us for up-to-the-minute updates on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So for now, from Wright Square, thanks for watching CitySpan, and thanks for making Savannah your home.